This is Ash Trevino.
Haley literally has been through, the bottom of her life. I'm telling you, whenever we lived with her dad, I used to pull her by the hair because I was so mad at her. I feel like he loved her more than he loved me, and so, I took my anger out on her.
And CPS came and seen their room and didn't say nothing about the bed. CPS took a picture of their room. So if it was a problem, wouldn't CPS have told me, you can't have the kids here because there's not a bed? So for those of y'all that call CPS on me, remember, she's not in my custody right now. Why do you think she doesn't live with me right now? Y'all are going to get my parents in trouble. So when y'all want to call CPS, y'all think about that. It's not me getting in trouble. It's my parents. Y'all think I only fight battles on TikTok? I fight them personally every day.
Ash Trevino is a chronically online mother who spends a majority of her everyday life on TikTok live streams.
I've already seen his beepee, and he's already seen my nunu, okay?
Apart from broadcasting the absolute worst parts of herself online every night, she also constantly showcases her terrible parenting.
Mama just threw up.
You just threw up? Why?
Mama just threw up.
You're lying.
Let me throw.
It's my lightning or what? I'm just kidding.
Mama just threw up. Why are you dancing? Mom, I threw up. Why are you dancing? You dancing? Yes.
One of the last insane details about Ash before fully diving into her story is the fact that she is infamous for being an inmate hopper. An inmate hopper is essentially someone who only dates incarcerated people repeatedly. Ash does not discriminate when it comes to these inmates she dates. One time she found herself involved with a man who murdered 2 teenage girls despite having 2 of her own around the same age as this guy's victims. She would even defend this man, going as far as saying he's innocent even though he had already been found guilty of his crime.
I am, and they know that you're innocent, babe. I already said it out loud in front of everybody. There's 1.8K watching. Yeah, and you're innocent. He's innocent, you guys. I don't care what y'all say about him. He's innocent.
Yeah, that's a real thing that happened. Buckle up, everyone. This is the story of Ash Trevino, the most degenerate mother on TikTok. Ash Trevino was born on January 17, 1989, making her currently 36 years old. Not much is known about Ash's upbringing, but we can piece together a picture of her younger adult life through a series of older Instagram posts before she became an infamous TikTok lolcow. Ashley married her high school sweetheart, Israel, shortly after she graduated and would have her first child in 2009. A few years later, she would give birth to her second child in 2012. 2015 rolled around and Ash's relationship with her husband had soured, eventually ending in 2017 with a divorce. Ash took to her Instagram on June 6th that year with this post with a caption that read, "This was my last pic of being a gress, lol. My divorce was finally finalized after 9 years of marriage and 2 years of separation." She would begin her life as a new single mother of 2, but that only lasted for a couple of years because in 2019, Ash posted on Instagram that she was now engaged to an inmate in prison. That's right, the first known instance of Ash having an infatuation with prisoners was documented 6 years ago in 2019. Her engagement post read, "For those of y'all that know, y'all know, lol. And for those who don't know, now y'all do. People are gonna judge us, but like we say, screw what y'all think. I have been here for him and plan to continue that through this journey God has given us. Yes, he is away from me, but these years will go by so fast and can't wait to become Miss Gonzalez. If you don't like us being together, then feel free to delete me, but he wanted to let everyone know he is mine and I'm his. And for those of y'all that don't know, he asked me to marry him and we got the blessings we needed to move forward with that. By the way, don't let those hate letters think it's gonna stop us." Ash's new fiance wasn't some run-of-the-mill inmate that was incarcerated for petty crimes. No. His name is Isaiah Gonzalez, and in 2013, he was found guilty of aggravated robbery, arson, and murder. That's right, Ash Trevino's new partner was a convicted murderer. To make matters worse, Ash immediately started bringing her young kids to the visitations with her and even began calling this man their dad. We had a great visit today and so blessed that both our girls were able to go see daddy. You can see the happiness on his face. Our first first family picture. It feels incredibly irresponsible and gross to bring your young children into this environment and have them interact with someone who is a convicted murderer. To add even more bizarre details to an already perturbed story, Ash has said to known Isaiah since he was 9 years old and she was 15. Now, they didn't become romantically involved until Isaiah was an adult. However, Ash would claim on live streams that when she was younger, she would tell Isaiah's mother, "One day I'll be your daughter-in-law," and Isaiah's mom would reply to Ash by stating he is way too young for her.
I knew him since he was 11. I knew him since he was 11 and I was like 15 or 16, maybe younger, because I was like 15. So he had to have been like 9 when I first met him. And they used to go to our church. So I remember telling his mom, because I always thought he was a cute little boy, but I was older and I was already dating the kid's dad, so I couldn't be with him, Once I got married, I used to always tell his mom, because he grew up quick, I would tell his mom, like, I'm gonna be your daughter-in-law one day. I'm gonna be your daughter-in-law one day. She's like, no, you're not. My Flacco's too young for you.
This entire situation is disturbing, and this relationship ends exactly how you'd expect, with a divorce in 2020. Now, while Ash's relationship with her first inmate had come to an end, there was far more to come. Following the divorce of her first inmate, Isaiah, Ash would begin posting on TikTok. She wouldn't begin to garner any popularity until around 2023 when she began to publicize the relationships she was having with incarcerated men on TikTok live streams. Going live and shamelessly oversharing personal details about her life and relationships is Ash's main form of content. On these bizarre live streams, we would learn that Ash has dated over 26 inmates, which is why she has earned herself the nickname, the Inmate Hopper.
Inmates have you talked to in your whole lifetime?
Hold up, you should have let me calculate this. But last time I checked, so Jesse was number, I think he was like 20 something, like 25 maybe. And I've only talked to one more after him, so probably 26 in the last 5 years.
That is a lot!
Ash quickly learned that publicizing these relationships with inmates was earning her a decent following. When she first began doing this, she gained over 30,000 followers in just 1 week after live streaming herself going to pick up her new boyfriend Jesse from jail.
So I wasn't that big on TikTok, but when my ex came home from prison, the day he was released, I had a whole bunch of people watching my live because I picked him up from the prison. And I gained over 30,000 followers within like a couple weeks just being with him. So that's when it started kicking off because people were watching our story and then a lot of females wanted him.
When Ash's new boyfriend Jesse was released, she claimed that she was taking him home to officially live with her. However, the TikTok she posted post-release clearly showed them in a hotel room and not Ash's home. And, unsurprisingly, the couple would break up less than a week after Jesse was released from jail because Ash couldn't trust him receiving DMs from other women online.
Why did you guys break up? Because of social media. A lot of females were in his inbox and I just didn't have the trust. I would tell him I wish he was back in prison just because I knew I trusted him in prison because nobody knew who he was. Nobody was writing him. Nobody was he wasn't calling them, like when he came out, I let him have social media. I gave him a little cheap phone. I told him, make a TikTok, babe, make a TikTok. And that was my biggest mistake.
After this breakup, Ash would continue the online drama by claiming she believes she is pregnant with Jesse's baby, but she doesn't want to tell him or want any help from him.
We can all be your baby daddy. You want to be my baby daddy? No, I already told Jesse that if I'm pregnant, I told him on the way to Irving. I said, on the way to Irving, I told him, I said, look, if I'm pregnant, because I told him, I said, I start my period in 3 days. And he's like, what are you telling me? I said, I'm just saying, I start my period in 3 days. And he's like, what are you telling me, Ashley? And I was like, no, I'm just saying, like, just in case, something happens and I'm pregnant, I don't need you to be there for me. I said, I can raise this baby on my own. I've raised 2 of them on my own. I don't need you to be here to raise my baby. I don't want him to have any updates or anything if I'm pregnant, but we'll find out. I've raised 2 of them on my own.
These newfound pregnancy claims worried some of the people that followed Ash because one of the things she likes to do a lot on her live streams is drink alcohol. Ash's audience would ask her to stop drinking and take a pregnancy test, but she refused to do so and went as far as saying when she finds out she's pregnant, then she will stop drinking.
I won't drink past, once I find out if I'm pregnant, I'm not drinking no more. Once I find out for sure if I'm pregnant, I'm not drinking. I am off of it for 9 months.
Now, I shouldn't have to explain this, but drinking in the early stages of your pregnancy can cause irreparable damage to your child, so Ash's choices here are disgusting. Ash would continue to propagate the idea that she was pregnant on future live streams by claiming she finally took a pregnancy test and the results were positive. However, she refused to show her audience. Seeing that she is known to overshare every detail about her life, no matter how embarrassing, her refusal to prove the fact that she's pregnant was highly suspicious. Just a few weeks after this stream, Ash would backtrack on her pregnancy claims and state she had recently lost her baby because of all the stress in her life.
Were you ever pregnant? Yes, unfortunately I was. But the stress gets to you. Unfortunately I was. I was very sad, but I was happy at the same time.
Under normal circumstances, this would be sad news. However, I don't think Ash was ever pregnant. This is a grown woman that craves attention more than anything and has no shame in the way she goes about getting it. Now, while the pregnancy was fake, Ash does have 2 very real daughters that she is undoubtedly a terrible mother to, which brings us to the next section of the video. As I mentioned in the beginning of the video, Ash had 2 kids in the years 2009 and 2012. These 2 kids have to bear witness to all of the insane things their mother does online. Instead of chronologically going through every minute situation that shows Ash is a terrible mother, I'd rather focus on the more insane things. I will start with moments that are smaller in scale and then showcase the more egregious things that highlights her terrible parenting. For starters, Ash has admitted she used to believe her ex-husband loved their daughter more than her. This made her jealous and angry, and she would take her newfound anger out on her daughter by doing things like pulling her hair.
Haley literally has been through like the bottom of her life. Like, I'm telling you, whenever we lived with her dad, I used to pull her by the hair because I was so mad at her. Like, I feel like he loved her more than he loved me, and so like I took my anger out on her. And she doesn't even like hate me for that. Like, she doesn't even remember that.
This is just the beginning. Ash can't do the bare minimum when it comes to parenting. One night, her daughter threw up and asked her mother for help. Instead of helping her sick child, she continued to dance on stream and ignored her until her daughter forcibly turned off her music.
He never smell well.
Mama just threw up.
You just threw up? Why?
Mama just threw up.
You're lying.
Let me throw up.
It smell like it or what? I'm just kidding.
Mama just threw up. Why are you dancing? Mom, I threw up. Why are you dancing? She's dancing? Yes. Still dancing? Alexa, stop.
Bro, I was jamming to Nunu.
Her children can't even get her help when they're sick. It's insane. I mentioned earlier they have to bear witness to all of their mother's online antics, and that's because they're active moderators for her live streams. That's right, her 12 and 15-year-olds moderate her live streams. There has been times where Ash's daughters try to get her to end her streams because of how inappropriately she was acting.
And he's already seen my Nunu. Okay?
You need to get off later. You're saying stuff that people don't need to know.
Okay, well,
Okay?
I don't know where the mods are.
You need to get off soon, okay?
It's pretty insane that her children have more forethought than her, and they've even had to apologize on her behalf because of some of the things she said and done while streaming. It only gets worse from here. Ash has been confronted on panels for doing things like leaving her adult toys around the house for her kids to see.
Why do people support you when you have toys in front of your minor kids?
Do they use them?
They still touch them. What should we call
They
this?
don't touch that.
Why do they say, oh, what should we call this?
She can't even do the bare minimum and hide these in a drawer or something. There have been streams where her underage kids openly joke with her about these toys and go as far as asking her if she names them.
Why is that thing charging?
Can you leave my Rose alone? Bro, leave my Rose alone. She needs me in a little bit.
What's her name?
Who?
The Rose. What's her name?
I haven't named her yet. What should we name her?
We should name her Haley because she's pregnant.
Ew! I don't want to name her Haley.
Unsurprisingly, there is much worse things than having to moderate their mother's live streams and see her adult toys lying around the house. Ash's kids don't even have beds to sleep on. A picture would surface on her Reddit showcasing a post from her daughter, and in the background you can see the 2 air mattresses that they sleep on. Ash would address this by saying she was visited by CPS and they saw that they had no beds and did not say it was an issue, so people should mind their business.
Don't have a bed. They have a room. They have food. So they have everything else they need. And CPS came and seen their room and didn't say nothing about the bed. CPS took a picture of their room. So if it was a problem, wouldn't CPS have told me, like, you can't have the kids here because there's not a bed? They didn't.
This is a disgusting way to defend not buying your kids mattresses. This is a woman that claims to make upwards of $20,000 a month from TikTok and has shown off her designer handbags and sunglasses she has purchased for herself. I really don't know how you can spend thousands of dollars on a handbag when your kids sleep on air mattresses. Now, the next thing that highlights Ash being a terrible mother is the fact that she said she wouldn't call the cops if her underage daughters got involved with an older man. Her reasoning is because she said she did the same thing when she was their age.
It's like one of my kids, say Haley, for instance. She meets a guy. She likes him. She wants to do something. The guy asks her, how old are you? She says, I'm 18 or 17. The guy believes it. And then I find out, I mean, honestly, if I find out my daughter's doing something, I'm not going to sit there and call the cops. I was her age at once. I was doing it, so.
Condoning this behavior is reprehensible, and I can't believe she actually said this. Ash still somehow managed to even top saying something worse than this. There is a clip of Ash on a live stream talking to a man who asks if he can take one of her underage daughters back to his house. Her response is horrifying.
Hey, can I ask you a question? Can I take it to my crib?
Sure, go ahead. Just don't take advantage of my.
Wait, what you said?
Just don't make me a grandma.
This is someone who absolutely should not be a parent, and I can't believe clips like this exist. Everything I have shown so far should highlight just how terrible of a mother Ash is, and we still haven't covered it all. Santos is a 19-year-old TikToker that would become romantically involved with Ash after they interacted with each other over the course of a few live streams. Piggybacking off the terrible mother section, this relationship is yet another example of that. You see, the only reason Ash found out about who Santos is because her 15-year-old daughter would confide in her that she has a crush on a TikToker, and that TikToker was Santos. After learning her daughter had a crush on a random stranger online, Ash decided to pursue this man romantically for herself. Initially, their relationship was contained to TikTok live streams, but eventually, Santos flew to Ash's home to meet her in person. The live streams between Ash and Santos always generated embarrassing and inappropriate clips, like when Santos asked Ash's daughters how it felt that her mother stole her crush.
How do you feel that your mom stole your crush?
Santos, how do you feel about being bald?
Why would you ask her that? Why would you ask
Santos,
her
I see that your
that?
hair falling out. I see your hair falling out.
Okay, y'all go over there. But for real, don't talk about gold, okay? Just leave it off of social media.
That's why you got to blame.
Please. Please.
Alright, you don't either.
I don't talk about her.
Imagine having a celebrity crush only for your parent to date them, and then that celebrity flexes on you that they're dating your parent. This whole situation is downright insane. Another massive clip that came from the Ash and Santos live streams was when Ash talked about seeing Santos's pee-pee. Yes, that's what a 36-year-old woman called it.
I've already seen his pee-pee, and he's already seen my nunu. Okay?
If that clip wasn't insane enough, Ash would go on to write an entire song asking if her nunu smelled and talking about Santos's pee-pee some more.
I seen his pee-pee, he's seen the nunu.
I bet you didn't expect to hear a song about genitalia when you clicked into this video, did ya? Santos eventually flew to Ash's home on Christmas in 2024, and the events that unfolded while he was there marked the demise of their relationship. On Christmas night, Ash and Santos were drinking on a live stream. Since Santos is only 19, Ash's viewers called the police and reported her for supplying alcohol to someone that is under the legal drinking age. This resulted in the police showing up to Ash's house and reprimanding her for doing so.
Thank you.
Just be a little more aware who you got coming here. People are watching. He's drinking. You provide to him. That's an offense.
Okay, but he's literally not even drinking.
Nobody's going to jail.
Okay.
I'm just saying. So y'all have a good night, okay?
Thank you.
Following the police visit, the relationship between Santos and Ash pretty much ended. Ash claimed to be ignorant to the fact that Santos was 19 and told her audience Santos claimed to be 24, even showing her a fake ID. Santos would return to his hometown and the live streams between the two became less and less frequent until they stopped altogether. Sometime after their fallout though, the pair would be spotted on a stream once again. While there wasn't much to note, there was something that Santos would say that I found particularly weird and inappropriate. While speaking about their relationship, Santos tells Ash that her 15-year-old daughter has been calling him and telling him that she misses her stepdad, which is a reference to himself.
I got back with Shawty Bae. Me and Shawty Bae are like locked in again.
I heard, I seen all the videos. You were calling her mommy and everything.
What? I can't have both of you at the same time?
I don't share.
Oh my gosh. And then Haley was calling me saying that she misses her stepdad.
Oh, I heard. You gave me triple the views, huh? Is that true?
Why is Santos entertaining phone calls with a 15-year-old, especially with the underlying context that this 15-year-old has a crush on him? It's bizarre to call himself her stepdad, and Ash doesn't even seem to care when Santos says this. She is more concerned about their discussion about who brought who more TikTok clout. Maybe I'm overanalyzing a situation, but I don't know. I found this whole interaction to be really weird. This section of the video should be a rather short one, but I felt it was important to document and discuss as it only continues to highlight the horrendous character of Ash Trevino. Following the relationship with Santos, Ash reverted back to what she knew best: inmate hopping. Eventually, she found herself dating an inmate named Francisco Montero. Francisco Montero was a gang member that was found guilty for murdering two women that were only 13 and 19 years old. Ash being okay with dating a man that took the life of someone so closest to the ages of her two daughters is downright disturbing. Not only was Ash okay with dating a child murderer, she would go on live streams and vehemently defend him. She would rant and rave, pronouncing his innocence even though he was already found guilty. Ash would even go as far as laughing at the two victims that lost their lives.
They won't let him out. Just kidding. He's locked up. I am, and they know that you're innocent, babe. I already said it out loud in front of everybody. There's 1.8K watching. Yeah, and you're innocent. He's innocent, you guys. I don't care what y'all say about him. He's innocent.
Oh my God, they said, honestly, rip to those who lost their lives. Why is it funny? Because y'all are sitting there posting that on my stuff. That's why it's funny. Because y'all are sitting there making it seem like some man is guilty of that when he had nothing to do with that. So that's why it's so funny, because y'all are blaming somebody that's innocent.
Ash is an incredibly vile woman, and this is now the second time she's been found running defense for literal murderers. By 2025, Ashley Trevino has become a massive lolcow on TikTok. A content creator named Camila Araujo decided to invite Ash and her daughters to the Bop House to do an interview. The Bop House is a content creation house that is run by and filled with adult models that are OnlyFans creators. It feels wildly inappropriate to bring a 12 and 15-year-old to this house and put them in front of the same audience that consumes these adult models' content. Ash, however, didn't seem to think so. The podcast Camilla recorded with Ash is titled The Worst Mom on TikTok. The interview is over an hour long and currently has almost 12 million views at the time of this recording. There are definitely some insane moments between the host and Ash, as Camilla did not hold back from giving Ash criticism for certain things they discussed. One of the topics that came up during the podcast was the fact that Ash's kids still do not have beds in their room.
Question: do you have beds?
Well, I don't live with my mom.
But at your mom's house?
No.
Ash would try and explain herself, and eventually Camilla would offer to pay for a brand new bedroom set with 2 new beds for her daughter since Ash wouldn't.
I'm going to Zelle you. I'm going to give you money for, I want a bed, 2 mattresses, 2 of them. I want a headboard and 2 nightstands. I'm going to order that before you leave this house today.
Realistically, this isn't something Camilla should even have to be offering. Ash Trevino makes plenty of money and can absolutely afford to buy her children beds to sleep on. She admitted on this very podcast that she can make upwards of $12,000 in just 2.5 hours through her streams on TikTok Live.
What's the most you've ever made on TikTok Live?
So the most I've ever made on TikTok Live was $12,000.
In one sitting?
Yes.
In one live?
Yes.
How many hours?
Like 2.5.
You made 12 grand in 2.5 hours?
Yeah.
With the knowledge of how much money she can make on a singular stream, it's absolutely disgusting that she somehow can't bring herself to buy beds for her 2 kids. Now, the last thing I'd like to cover from this podcast is the fact that Ashley's kids openly admit they would rather go back to the life they had before their mom became infamous. They would even claim that they have lost real-life friends because of the way their mother acts online. Camilla would ask if Ash felt any sort of guilt for making her daughters lose friends, and she would respond with a flat-out no.
So you don't feel like any sort of guilt or sadness that they've lost friends because of it, and they've expressed that?
No, because it's not even for that reason, to be honest. I feel like some of their friends are jealous because of the life that they have. They don't go to school anymore. They're homeschooled. You know, they can just get up and leave, take a trip.
There's a ton of other insane things inside this podcast, like Ash busting out in laughter when she's being criticized for the things that make her a bad mom. I highly recommend you check out the podcast in full if you want to hear more. I will leave a link to the full episode in the video's description. Following the release of the podcast, Ash was not happy with the title, The Worst Mom on TikTok. She would begin to go on tirades during her live streams, stating she regrets doing the podcast and would constantly bring up the fact that she was not paid for her appearance. And Camilla would respond to everything Ash was stating in this TikTok, debunking some of the things that were said.
She said that she regrets doing it. What did you think I was going to ask you about? You think I'm going to sit there and be like, let's just be besties? Like, no, girl. Like, she said, she was like, oh, like, if I knew the podcast was going to be yada, 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 I would have asked her for payment. I paid for first class tickets. I paid for her to stay at the Ritz-Carlton. And not to mention, she messaged me and was like, hey, do you mind if I extend my flight to stay longer? No, I don't mind, because I could extend the flight for free, right? She extended the flight to wherever, I don't know when the hell she stayed till, and then automatically calls the front desk to the Ritz-Carlton and just books an extra night, books an extra 2 nights. I don't even know how many nights she stayed, and then texts me to pay for it. Babe, you literally sat on my podcast talking about you have some budget, your kids don't have beds, and you were asking me to pay for an extra night. What happened to budget? What happened to you having security? What happened to all that? Babe, you want to flex, you're rich, pay for your night at the Ritz-Carlton. I thought I was in my opinion, I thought I was very respectful.
This only enraged Ash more. She was so displeased with her appearance on the podcast and Camilla's responses to her that she decided to retaliate by denying the bedroom sets Camilla offered to buy her children. That's right, her ego was damaged so badly because of everything, she decided to take beds away from her kids to spite Camilla.
Like right now, she did ask me, did your kids pick out the bed set? I said, I don't want you to buy it. I said, there's too much going on. I don't need you to buy it. I said, they're already saying that I did CC fraud on your card. I don't want nothing to do with that. So that's what I was trying to send her, was the video. That's what I was trying to send her. And why didn't I pay for it? Because she asked to pay for it. She paid for our flights and she paid for our room stay. That's why I didn't pay for it. I was going to do the podcast with her. So yes, I did just tell her that I didn't need her to buy it. I don't want nobody to feel no pity, no sorry for me and my kids. I'm done with the TikTok drama stuff. So thank you. I really appreciate it, Camilla. I don't want you to buy their bedroom set. Thank you for offering.
It's pretty insane how insistent Ash is that she will provide for her children, yet can't provide the bare minimum despite claiming to make thousands of dollars every day. Not long after the Bop House interview, contention began to build inside the Trevino household. Ash's 15-year-old daughter went on a live stream one night and claimed that she is going to expose her mother but had to wait until she turned 18 because she is afraid of Ash. Of course, instead of solving her family issues privately and offline, Ash decided to angrily respond to her daughter's claims on her own live stream.
She's gonna expose everything when she's 18, right? What is there to expose? I've been taking care of you since you were born. What are you gonna expose? There's nothing to expose, baby girl. This TikTok stuff is getting to her head, and I guarantee you Heffa got into her head too. But for her to sit there and make that remark, and then she blocked me on TikTok because I was telling her to get off live last night. So she thought it was cool to block me. But what is she gonna expose? All the CPS cases have been closed. There's nothing my daughter can expose when she's 18. I wanna see what she has to expose because that would be so amazing. I want to know what she needs to expose. I really do want to know.
Ash confidently states there is nothing to expose, like she hasn't gone on live streams previously and told stories about her kids having to call the cops on her multiple times after physical altercations. One of the altercations resulted in Ash almost going to jail at 1 in the morning after throwing a glass at her daughter during an argument.
The cop comes back out and he takes the handcuffs off of me. And I said, that's exactly what I fucking thought, you dumb piece of cracker. And he's like, I'm this close to taking you in. I said, well, do what you gotta fucking do, bitch. You already had me in handcuffs and you just took them off. Do what you gotta do, bitch. I can literally sue them for putting me in handcuffs for not even the right reason, to be honest. I'm like, he's stupid. This is not the first time she's called the cops on me. This is literally the 4th time. How did the glass break? I threw the glass. I fucking threw the glass. I broke my phone too. My phone's broke right now. They said somebody from New York called the cops. This is not the first time this shit has happened. 2 days ago, me and my daughter got into it. And she didn't stay with me because she threw a chair at me and my leg is bruised. She put her hands on me. And I already had told her, stop putting your fucking hands on me, bro.
Even after saying all of this, Ash still somehow insanely thinks she's the perfect mother and her kids have nothing to complain about. They don't even have beds in her home. I have no idea how she can think so highly of herself. Ash's children will eventually decide to live with their grandparents full-time, or Child Protective Services will forcibly remove them from her care. And when this happens, Ash will have absolutely nobody to blame but herself. It's only a matter of time before this premonition comes true, and nobody will be surprised when it does. I don't even think it's a stretch to say I don't think Ash would even care if this happens. She abandons her 2 children at any given possibility to go out and party or do collaborations with other incredibly young TikTokers. She is known to take solo trips to Disney while her kids are forced to stay home with their grandparents. And you can't even say she is concerned about keeping her children safe, as she has a propensity to dox herself, which has led to her haters traveling to her location to fight her.
Bring her ass outside. What's wrong with you, bitch? You got the right fucking word, hoe. Come outside. All that shit talking, you ain't about it. What's wrong with you, hoe?
All of these compounding issues and everything else we have discussed is why Ash has easily earned herself the infamy she has. The inmate hopping she is known for is just one piece of a much larger and more disturbing puzzle. This has been the story of Ash Trevino, the most degenerate mom on TikTok. If you made it to this point in the video, I really appreciate it. Thank you for taking some time out of your day to learn about such a vile woman. I'd like to give a massive shout out to all of my channel members and goated members. I appreciate the hell out of your guys' continued support. With all of that being said, I'm Nick Nobody, and until next time, I'm out.